Welcome back to Marketing Champions here on Daily Ad Brief. I'm Howard Walpuff, your host. We're talking about marketing around the country with great marketing experts. Today, we're in Los Angeles, California with Mark Kapczynski of Guten. And as they say on their website, they're the best kept secret to optimizing your e-commerce supply chain. And especially as we're talking about supply chain on a daily basis, this should be a very interesting conversation. So Mark, welcome to our conversation.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So again, supply chain is a challenge right now. You seem to have an answer for a lot of companies into getting around that. Why don't you share a little bit about Guten and what you're doing with e-commerce companies?
Sure thing. So at Guten, what we do is we run what we call a smart supply chain that works with brands and retailers to help them leverage what's called on-demand manufacturing for the apparel, wall art, and home decor space. So what that ultimately means is we only make things once they're actually purchased and sold and need to be delivered out to a consumer. So we help people get around this notion of pre-purchasing, say, 10,000 T-shirts, waiting for them to come over on a ship from around the world, and then load them up into an inventory or warehouse center that, unfortunately, those shirts may never get sold. We only make things right as they're purchased by a consumer for a consumer, and we do that in about 70 locations all around the world. So we really try to help distribute the load for both production and the supply chain to ultimately get things out to consumers faster.
So you really are a secret weapon for some of these companies, for one, who are launching and are concerned about the overhead that they need to start off with inventory and cost that goes along with that, and those that are moving through maybe having supply issues and finding resources to get their products out to their customers.
Yeah, I got to do a better job in my marketing here of not being such a secret anymore. But yes, you're right. We are a behind the scenes company, and the cool thing I think about our business is when we work with whether it's a big box retailer all the way down to a mom and pop retailer. We only get paid when they actually sell something. So the economics really work in favor of the retailer so that they can experiment, they can try new designs, they can ultimately use their dollars and resources to figure out what sells out to consumers, and then not worry about all the supply chain headaches behind the scenes of, again, how do I inventory 10,000 T-shirts and hope that they get sold? We only get paid when they sell something, and we only make something when they sell something. And then by virtue of our global production network, what we ultimately optimize is getting things as quickly as possible to the end consumer. So let's say you were buying me a T-shirt here in Los Angeles. It would be actually made here in Los Angeles. And if we were sending something to you in Florida, it would be made in Florida. So the whole notion is put production as close as possible to the end customers or end receivers of the packages so that we can ultimately reduce what we call transportation hops. And transportation hops is what ultimately is killing our supply chain right now. There's just too many points where things have to go on a boat, a train, a truck, sit in a warehouse, and then get put back on a truck or a train and then flown somewhere. We have to be much more efficient of how we move things around the world.
And today, this is very key. I think even those who've waited for packages and are concerned about the wait for a package to come through, there's always that concern. But just what the country's been going through to have this as a resource is truly remarkable. Now, taking us back a little bit, let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get involved in marketing, and really what led you in this direction?
Yeah, so my career in marketing, I think, primarily started. I used to work for Microsoft. I learned so much about marketing while being there. I did my own startup where I had to put my money where my mouth was and really, be able to bring products to market and really figure out how to get them noticed in the market. But ultimately, what really raised my game, I think, was I had the opportunity to work for the credit bureau called Experian, and we had a brand called FreeCreditReport.com. Not sure if everyone remembers the jingle.
I remember the jingle.
FREE spells Free Credit Report. and it was an amazingly large business. And I learned so much about direct response marketing, data driven marketing, optimization of campaigns. And it was just such an amazing opportunity to have in my career. And I'm fortunate that I was able to take that and parlay that into then moving on into CMO roles. And then my good friend, who actually is the CEO here of Guten, reached out to me very early during the pandemic because their business was exploding last March. And he asked if I would come on board to help out, and definitely was excited about the business, definitely excited about being in e-commerce where everything is obviously exploding. And so wanted to be a part of it, and pretty excited to be here.
Well, it's truly remarkable the things that you're doing, and great to have know the right people who are doing these, having these great ideas to come in and help fulfill them for people. What do you see as the future, the next couple of years? With at some point the supply chain will normalize. Where does that make your focus for the companies that you're working with
Yeah.
now and we want to work with?
Yeah, so we actually interestingly take a counter position. We hope they don't normalize. We hope that they just evolve into something that looks more like what Guten does. Now, mind you, we're one provider, but there's other people in our space, and we just think in general we have to move away from this model where people pre-produce inventory and then wait for this one ship with my one pallet of inventory to come and arrive. We have to become much more globally distributed with our production. So we actually advocate for global production instead of centralized inventory management, and then reducing of these what we call transportation hubs. And so we actually hope the supply chain just truly gets reinvented so that retailers can ultimately use their dollars and resources to compete in the marketplace, not to become supply chain experts. And I think that's the big shift. So a retailer who doesn't have to worry about the supply chain now has dollars available to come up with new designs, figure out what can sell to consumers, and ultimately focus on the marketing and the selling of those items versus the managing and warehousing and stockpiling of those items. So we do hope that the supply chain just shifts and doesn't actually return to the old way.
Well, it's incredible what you're providing for companies now, obviously your vision for the future. And it really, this again, I started with this should be trumpeted from the rooftops right now because this really can answer a lot of questions that companies have and problems that they're having. So thank you so much for sharing this with us and everything that you're doing to help companies out there today.
Hey, thanks, Howard. Really appreciate it, and really appreciate the opportunity to expose this to folks. And hopefully, we won't be the best kept secret next time.
Well, I hope so too. And thank you again. And thank you all for joining us as well. This is fantastic. Companies that are really out there helping other companies get their products to the consumer, trying to get through the issues we're having right now with the supply chain is extremely important and really keep certain companies up at night. And having an answer like Guten and a resource like Mark is phenomenal. Learn more on Daily Ad Brief. Go out, have a great rest of today, and we'll see you next time on Marketing Champions.